This story was written by Boris Bacic. Make sure to check out their book, The Grayson Legacy. Link in description. I've been a security guard in my company for over 2 years now. But the work my company does is not your typical run-of-the-mill. To put it simply, my company accepts jobs which no other security company will. That includes high-risk assignments which often result in deaths of the staff members or abandoning their posts. Let me take it from the top. When I started working here, they had a very long one-on-one with me to explain all the potential dangers I would be facing. They also made me sign an NDA and a bunch of other papers which stated that if something were to happen to me, the company would not be held responsible. They explained that the job is risky, but also paid well. I'd been jobless for a while and jumped at the opportunity regardless of the risks. Unlike most other companies, though, they made me read through the entire NDA aloud and made sure I was aware of all the rules. Some of the things I read there made me think initially that this was all a joke, but then I saw that my superior was dead serious. My job would basically be to provide support to the guards at other posts via comms and patrol the perimeter I was stationed at. Now, our HQ was located in an office building compound, which had multiple companies renting the adjacent buildings. I would mostly work nights, with the occasional mornings, and the rules were as follows. I was to do a full sweep of the compound and all offices, save for Building 4, the call center office. I was not to approach Building 4 under any circumstances, no matter what I heard from the outside. Even if I saw someone inside from the windows, I was not to engage. When I asked for more details, they refused to answer me, stating that I should simply obey their orders if I value my life. Now, people have a normal 9-to-5 job in that building, and nothing seems to be wrong during the day. When I do ask the employees about it during my morning shifts, though, they all seem to either not know anything or abruptly find an excuse to end the conversation. For Building 6, the designer company, the rules were even stranger. Here's what the chief told me. In Building 6, you may sometimes run into someone, a woman to be precise. She's going to try to start a conversation with you. It is imperative that you ignore her presence at all costs. She will try to talk to you, taunt you, but she will never get in your way. An extremely important rule to remember, and I cannot stress this enough, is that if you see her in the building, don't run or exit the building before finishing your sweep. Trust me, she'll know. Do the sweep as you normally would. Check every room and then quietly exit, ignoring her all the way. She will become increasingly agitated and violent, might even try to startle you, tell you there's something behind you in a very convincing manner. Just ignore her. If you don't, well, you don't want to know what happened to the last guard. I've since encountered the woman once, and it was a grueling and agonizing experience I would rather not talk about. Another rule I had to remember was not opening the gate between the hours of 22 to 07. The chief said that under no circumstances am I to open the gate, even if the next guard comes 5 minutes earlier to relieve me of my duty. The gate was to remain closed. And that brings me to the experience I had once. It was about 6 months after I started working, and the sun was almost already up. I heard knocking on the gate, and when I went out, I saw through the gate the silhouette of my coworker. "Hey, mind opening the gate?" he asked. As I approached and put my keys into the keyhole, my phone started ringing. I answered it without even looking at the caller. But when I heard the voice, my blood froze. It was my coworker. "Hey, I'm gonna be late 30 minutes today. Sorry, man." I hung up, and just then realized it was 6:50 a.m. I stared at the silhouette on the other side of the gate, who suddenly started banging on the door, demanding to be let in, stating he had lost his cell phone and he was the real coworker. I retreated to the guardhouse and waited for what seemed like forever until the banging stopped. In reality, it only lasted until 7 a.m. Those were all the rules I had to follow on my own post. And most of the time, it's uneventful. However, I've heard stories from other coworkers. Since I'm in contact with guards at other posts, one of them told me this story. He worked as a guard in a residential building, and one night, an old man who lived there called him to come to his apartment. He didn't explain what was wrong, just told him to go there, so he did. When he reached the apartment, the wife of the old man was crying, stating that her husband was dead. The guard tried convincing her that her man was very much alive and had in fact brought him there. But when he turned around, the old man was gone. It was then that he saw the old man's dead body in his chair near his sobbing wife. He quit the same night. Another creepy thing that happened was on a farmstead which our company has guards posted on. A guy by the name of Jeff, who worked there, told me about his own experience which made him run away from his post in the middle of the night. So, apparently, the farm was empty at the time since it needed some more stuff built first. But his duty was to basically patrol circles around the farm and make sure there were no squatters or vandals. So, one night, as he's walking around, he hears someone calling his name in a playful tone. He dismisses it as his imagination at first, but when it recurs, he asks who's there and demands they show up with their hands in the air. Now, I haven't seen this, so I can't guarantee anything, but Jeff swears it's true. He says, all of a sudden, out of the crops, a man just stands up. The top of the crops reached to his waist, which was technically impossible because the crops themselves were taller than Jeff, and he's a pretty tall guy. But the man grins at Jeff and continues calling his name playfully, as if he's still hiding from him. Needless to say, Jeff didn't stick around to see what the fuck that guy wanted, and when he reported it to HQ, they said there were sightings of that man in the past, always calling the names of the guards, but never really doing anything harmful. The final thing I'll share with you here is my experience when I was stationed at a hospital for 1 month. It was a private clinic of some sorts, and my job was to basically monitor the camera feed. Camera 3 was off, though, and when I asked why, they told me to keep it that way, and never turn it on. They also said that from time to time, I may see a person on the feed which covered the outside of the security office, and that he would just be standing there, facing the door. I was to remain in my office when that happened, and not glance at the door. He would usually disappear after 30 minutes or so. and patrolling was strictly forbidden between the hours of 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Money is one of the reasons why I haven't quit so far, and the dangers aren't that bad once you get used to them and you know what you're doing. And plus, getting stationed at different posts keeps the job adventurous and dynamic. If any of you lack any special talents or qualifications like me, this job is perfect for you.